So hi everyone. Thank you for joining the last Make It Better summer session. My name's Whitney, and I'm a Gay Straight Alliance alum and have been an active straight ally for over 5 years now. The Make It Better project provides youth and adults with concrete tools they need to make it better for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or LGBT, youth in schools. We've held these summer workshops so that you can make it better this semester when you go back to school. We have a Facebook group where you can ask questions, meet other youth activists across the country, share advice, and win prizes to help you kick off your year of activism and Gay Straight Alliance Club organizing. So the previous workshops are still on our website. So take a look if you're interested in starting a Gay Straight Alliance Club, advocating for LGBT youth in your community, knowing your legal rights in school, or just learning more about the gender binary and what it means to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. This final workshop will focus on how to be a kick-ass straight ally, with an exclusive video from Avan, star of Nickelodeon's Victorious and founder of the awesome organization We Are Straight But Not Narrow. So thank you everyone who submitted questions through Twitter to Avan. If he didn't answer your questions, don't worry. We went through the questions and chose some extra ones that we loved to answer after Avan's appearance. Plus, by typing in the chat box below the video or next to the video, you can ask even more questions for me to address. So before I go to Avan's video, I want to break down a few basics on being a straight ally. First off, why should you care? Any thoughts? For straight allies watching and in the chat, why are you an ally?
Because love is the answer that we got from Lo Lowry.
Yeah, that's very good. So love is love. That's a very good one. And there are a whole bunch of other reasons to be a straight ally in addition to that. But that's kind of at the core of it all. You're all right in wanting to defend your queer friends and refusing to see sexual orientation or gender identity as something that people should be bullied for. On top of that, though, you should be an ally because homophobia affects straight people too. For the male youth out there, have you ever felt like you had to act extra macho so that you weren't teased? And for female youth, have you ever felt the need to act girlier than you really are? Homophobia limits the way in which straight people can express themselves, not just gay people. What are some ways that you think homophobia might hurt straight people?
Okay, Cassie55 says that because you should always accept people for whatever they choose to do with their life.
That's a very good point. And people who are not accepted for what they choose to do with their life because they're gay, that can hinder people who are, straight people because they are not able to express themselves in ways that they feel like expressing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I think that maybe we need a little clarification of the question, which is, so how are straight people affected by homophobia? So even if they're not gay, are there any ways that you can think of that you change your behavior if you're a straight person, or that you know straight people who act a little bit differently, or who have faced something because of homophobia?
Okay, this is a little thing, but I have very short hair, as you can see, and I had it down to about the middle of my back for a while. I was trying to grow it really long. And I had always wanted to do a pixie cut, but there was something always kind of in the back of my mind where it was like, like people are going to think I'm butch, people are going to think like I can't be feminine if I have short hair, and it stopped me for quite a while from getting a pixie cut like I wanted. And then, I was watching an old film called Breathless, and this woman in it, it's very feminine, very beautiful, lovely woman. She had very short hair. She was actually the inspiration for my haircut, and it was because of her that I got my haircut like that. But I was stopped for so long, and I love my hair now, but I stopped myself for so long because I was worried of being judged by other people as not being as feminine as I felt because I had short hair. That's not a big thing, but I mean, it was a little hindrance in my life. Are there any other questions?
Maybe we can go through a few of the other ways.
Yeah.
Make it clear.
Yeah. Oh, a few of the other ways. Mm-hmm. Well, homophobia can make it difficult for people who are close friends with someone of the same sex because they feel like they can't spend as much time together because they feel like they're going to be perceived as being gay, whereas it might be purely platonic relationship, and they cut off people who are close to them. They cut off bonds that they've made because they're worried that other people are going to see them as gay. It makes it difficult also, of course, for straight people who want to be friends with LGBT people because, again, sometimes you're worried about being perceived as an LGBT person yourself. Straight people can be attacked, like I was saying with the hair, for like looking or seeming gay. It limits your ability to express yourself, and that's a big deal. There are some other ways, like, for instance, homophobia pressures youth into having sex before they're ready. And that may be because they feel like they have to prove that they're, normal by society's standards of normal. It also, from an education standpoint, homophobia prevents schools from giving you important sexual health information. Without sex ed, youth are at greater risk for HIV and other sexually transmitted infections.
Yeah, that's great. And there's one addition from Angie's World that I think is good, which is just pointing out how that particular aspect, that not being able to be close to a friend of the same sex has often particularly hurt men because it might be socially acceptable for women to be emotionally intimate or hug or support each other, but men think that they'll be seen as gay, right. And that can contribute to depression or other issues that they are going through.
Yeah, that says it all. That was really well stated. I can't add anything to that. That was wonderful. So that's a really great list that we've built up. And if you want to see more, check out the link that we're putting on chat right now. Okay, so fine, you're a straight ally for all of these reasons. But what does it actually mean to be a straight ally? What's different about you? What gives you that label? Does anyone have any ideas about what it means to be a straight ally? Type it into the chat.
Okay, we have one from Sasha who says, supportive of LGBTQ people and their rights.
Okay, that is excellent.
here's a really good one from Angie's World, which is, I maintain that being a straight ally is more than just being straight plus being okay with gay rights. And then Cassie 55 adds, it means you accept and try to help people understand gay people.
That is fantastic. That's perfect. And like you guys both pretty much stated, being an ally is sort of rethinking how you look at the world. So be careful not to make assumptions. Don't assume that a man who acts feminine is gay, or that a girl with short hair is lesbian. That said, you also shouldn't assume that a macho man or a girly woman is straight. Assume that there might be some LGBT folks in your classes, sports, and all other parts of your life. So it's not just your beliefs, but your actions that make you an ally. If you're in the hallway and you hear a homophobic slur, you should speak up. Interrupt anti-LGBTQ jokes or comments. And when your friend says something like, "That's so gay," please say something. Explain why that kind of comment can be really hurtful to people. Explain that you're not okay being around people who speak in hateful and harmful ways. And in addition to that, you can explain to them and educate them on why it's hurtful and harmful, because just saying, "I don't like that," and leaving it at that isn't really making any progress for them understanding why what they're doing is inappropriate. So that's an example of a way to be a reactive ally. When you hear something hateful, you speak up in response. But there are other, more proactive ways that you can be an ally too, and here are some ideas. You can join a gay-straight alliance club in your school. You can put up LGBTQ positive signs in your schools, hallways, classrooms, wear shirts, buttons, etc. that promote acceptance. When I was in high school, I went around all the time with a little rainbow flag on my backpack, and it started up conversations. And even sometimes, even if I was occasionally bullied about it, I would get to talk to people and explain to them that no, I wasn't gay, but I had this rainbow flag because I supported equal rights. In my classroom, we were talking about the civil rights movement, and I saw that as a wonderful way to bring up the Stonewall rights movement. And recently, some of you may know, some of you may not know, the Fair Education Act was passed, which is in California, which will now include LGBT history and information in our textbooks. When I was fighting for that a million years ago, it didn't pass at that time, and it was something that we fought very hard for. So I took it upon myself in each of my classrooms to include as much gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender history as I could. Teachers weren't always so happy with me constantly interjecting into conversations, but I did get to educate a lot of people, and a lot of people were really interested in what I had to say, and that is an awesome feeling. So another thing you can do is bring up LGBTQ issues in conversations, like I was saying, with friends or discussions in class. Use gender-neutral language, which means you can say something like partner instead of girlfriend. Hold a discussion group after school about the different ways homophobia affects straight people. And, of course, you can create a Make It Better or Straight But Not Narrow video. Make It Better videos where you talk about what you're actually doing to make it better. And they can be really, really powerful coming from straight allies. So you can also check out some of the Make It Better project videos on the YouTube page. And you can look at instructions for making your own at makeitbetter.org/videos. So as you see, there are a whole bunch of ways to be a straight ally. Also, there's a public calendar on the Make It Better project website, and we'll put a link to that on the chat right now. If you do any of these things or hold other events at your school, add them to the calendar. That way you can inspire other youth across the country with the awesome things that you're doing in your town. So before we move to the questions that you submitted through Twitter, do you have any other questions about how homophobia affects straight people or what it means to be a straight ally?
There are actually a ton of questions that built up here. So a lot of really great ones. So Lily Jess asks, says that I have a friend who thinks gays shouldn't be gay at all and won't listen to me when I say she's wrong, and then she says that I'm wrong. You know, how do I deal with that? What do I do?
I've been there. That's tricky. Probably the best response is not to say you're wrong and to go into attack mode with your friend. It's maybe better to ask her, well, why do you feel that it's wrong? Take what she says and take points from that to show her that being gay is actually something that is okay. And even if she doesn't personally agree with it, you know what? That's her right. As long as she's not hurting other people, saying mean things to LGBT people, denying LGBT people their rights, then she has a right to what she believes. That being said, as her friend, you can take the opportunity to educate her on how being homophobic, saying homophobic things, being hurtful to people who are part of the LGBT community can really, really affect people in very, very harmful ways.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, as Andrew Brold said, you can also say why you believe that it's not wrong.
Of course.
And also, it can be really, really powerful to share stories that are out there, either your own personal story with this, or sharing other stories, if you, stories of LGBT people and what they've faced and what they've experienced, can often be really, really effective. And that's why we had a whole workshop. The third workshop was about telling your story in a way that actually is a form of activism and that can really change minds.
It's important to put a face to the cause as opposed to it being like this big, scary, mysterious thing. If you're telling stories, if you're being open and honest about ways that homophobia has affected you, that can really, really change minds. It's incredibly powerful.
Okay, and we have another question here, which is that from Braden95, and he says that Braden says that I have been told by my principal that I need to hide who I am, and that I'm shut down every time I try to bring it up.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's an inappropriate response from your principal to say that you need to hide who you are. You have a right to be open and be accepted for how you wish to express yourself and present yourself. No one deserves to be harassed, and there are a ton of routes that you can take to remedying this situation. Mainly, you can file a harassment complaint, and there are tools for that on Make It Better website. Can you go over the last part of that question again?
It was just, I think, basically just saying, I really encourage Braden to take a look at the resources on the Make It Better Project website, and also you can get in touch with GSA Network as well, or the ACLU. That might be a place for them, because there are a lot of that. It is not legal. That is a form of harassment if they're telling you that if they're telling you that you can't be who you are. Right. Your principal is directly
and almost saying that you deserve to be attacked.
Yeah, and if you're saying, especially because you added in that you're being bullied and they're not doing anything about it, that is absolutely something that you should look into. Talk to some people about your specific situation.
People are out there that support you and care about you, and being harassed by anybody is not okay. So please file a complaint and have this handled, because you deserve absolutely to be safe in any environment that you're in, but especially school.
Yeah, and if they said that it's your fault for being out that you get bullied, which is what you just chatted in, now that's absolutely unacceptable. And you absolutely get in touch with the people at the Make It Better Project or the people at Gay Straight Alliance Network, and the ACLU. There are tons of people out there who will direct you to resources, and you can really stop that. You can make that one better.
It's absolutely illegal. There's like no other way around it. It's illegal.
Okay, so I'm going to take one more question right now because we do answer a lot of questions like this that we're going to answer afterwards too, and we also of course have the video from Avan, so don't want to hold that up. But so I'll just add one more question, which is from Lily Jess, which is, what can I say to my friend who's insistent that gays should hide who they are?
Well, I would say the best thing, like with the question that we answered earlier, is that ask her why, and then also tell stories about experiences that you've had, facing homophobia, either as a straight ally or if you're an LGBT person. That can be really effective. And going with that, explain to her how hiding is really, really, really detrimental to who you are as a person, or who anybody is as a person. That nobody should have to hide who they are. If you're not hurting anybody, then you have a right to live your life exactly how you want to. It's human rights, it's human dignity. And just like she wouldn't like anybody telling her that she should have to hide an aspect of who she is, just like she should be accepted for who she is, it's the same for people from the LGBT community. You should be accepted whatever way you live your life. You should be free to do it and be open about it, and you should be loved for who you are. Great. Okay, so that was the last question. So now we're going to tune into Avan's exclusive video answering your questions. And remember, don't despair if he didn't get to yours, because we picked out some others to answer from the video, so stay tuned.
Hello, hi everybody on the interweb with your computers and such. I'm in Paris at the moment, so bonjour, ça va? I'm in Paris. I'm going to be answering your questions that you guys all sent in, and we're just going to have a good time. I'm just going to answer your questions. Alright. And now you're asking me and I'm answering. So I have a whole bunch of questions on my little helping. I have this thing helping me out. So I have all these questions on here. So Melting Headache asks, what sparked the idea? Did you get any help? I don't know. I guess basically it was a mix of having my friends, being bullied in school, and then on top of that, just feeling that there wasn't a place for straight people to talk about, supporting their friends. And so, I went to my friends, Heather and Andre of Cause Creative, and we put together this Straight But Not Narrow. I had the name in my head because I thought it was a good name, and I just kind of came to them, and they made it a reality. So you do need your friends to help, just like you need your friends to help stop this kind of ridiculous bullying. So Devers23 asks, what's it like doing SPNN? It's incredibly rewarding for me because very rarely you get to do something that is incredibly helpful to people. Hopefully, it's helpful to people. So you do all these promos and stuff. You shoot all these things for different TV shows or whatever. But this is like I'm making a direct difference in people's lives, hopefully, and that's what I like most about doing SPNN. Aqua Motel asks, I did a movie called Gwen Arajo's Story. It was about a transgendered youth who gets bullied, and she's asking if it had anything to do with why I started SPNN. Yes, to a certain degree, yeah. It's a part of it. I did this movie. It was an incredibly moving story and sad story, and just as it kind of brewed in my head from when I was 15 about this kind of behavior in people, and trying to stop it, and so that's kind of it. Totally did have something to do with it. Lo Lori asks, what is the best possible future for SBNN? I guess, I mean, we say this all the time at SBNN, like it's like there's an office or something. We say this all the time. It'll be best in 10 years if this doesn't need to, this program means nothing. It doesn't need to exist. That's the best possible future. And in the short term, we're just going to try to get into schools and catch it where it starts, which is in schools and all the, bullying and stuff, where it generates from. And that's just kind of what we, do our best until we're not needed, basically. Homie RJR4, which is like Star Wars and like homies put together. What is your advice to straight guys who have straight friends who have issues with gay people and their gay friends specifically? Look, if somebody doesn't like your friends, this doesn't matter if they're gay or straight. That's just the way it is. But if they're going to take issue with it and actually like have something to say, then you have to do the same thing. If someone's bullying your friend or has, negative comments about your friend, you defend them. That's just what you would do. And I think that's the advice I give you, is just stick up for your friends. If someone's picking on a friend of yours because he's gay, he's probably not a friend anyway. And if maybe you can try to correct him, and that's probably the best way to go. All right, well that just about does it for me. Sorry for the shoddy camera work. We had like a lot of troubles trying to upload this. We were in, because I'm in France at the moment. I was in Paris, so it's hard to like get everything to upload it and stuff. But thank you for watching, and thank you for asking questions if you did. And I'm sorry if your questions didn't get chosen, but thank you for sending them in, and we do read all of them. So thank you. And bonsoir, I guess. I'm like learning French right now. I'm like, my French is really bad, but I'm getting better. I'm working on it. You got to work on it. Well, thank you very much. Bye. Do you say bye on a video, like sign off? I don't know. I'm just gonna turn it off.
So thank you again to Avan and Straight But That Narrow for getting involved with this workshop. So now for some more of your questions. Okay, so first up, Audrey EH1 asked, my friends and I are part of our GSA at school. When we're out, we get teased. What should we do? So there's always going to be people out there with hurtful things to say. In my experience though, killing people with kindness is definitely the best way to go. It sounds cliche, but when people tease you, it stems from their own insecurities, and I can promise you that this is true. And it's not wrong at all to feel hurt that you're being teased for being part of GSA, or being teased at all. It's not wrong to feel hurt by this. But it is wrong to lash out in response. From my experience, the best thing that you can do is be upfront, honest, and to the point. If they tell you you're gay for being in a gay-straight alliance, then simply say, no, I'm not, but why would it matter? If you have the opportunity to educate your bullies, do so. I realize that's sometimes easier said than done. But the most important thing you can do is hold your ground and stay true to who you are. Because bullies are people who feel really low about themselves, and they try to bring other people who have insecurities down with them. So when it comes down to it, if you know who you are and you're proud and you feel like what you're doing is the right thing to do, they're not going to be able to bring you down with them. So show them that they can't. Tell them that you're proud of who you are, who your friends are, and you're proud of your belief in equality. But all that being said, if they're continually harassing you, like we were saying earlier, there are routes you can take, because no one deserves to be harassed at school. And you can go to the GSA Network, you can go to the AOCU, you can file a complaint with your principal. All that information is on makeitbetterproject.org. So we got from Lori, who I believe had commented earlier in this thing, so hello again. What do you tell people who try to convince you that being gay is wrong because the Bible says so? That's a very, very good question, and that's one that I've seen a lot in my straight ally days. And it's kind of a tricky one to answer. First off, New Testament doesn't actually say anything about that condemns gay people, but even more important is the Bible preaches to love thy neighbor as thyself and judge not lest ye be judged, which basically means that the way you live your life is your own right, and you have a right not to be judged or condemned for it. The principles of the Bible are against discrimination and discriminating against other people. And there are tons and tons and tons, and I know several of them, of religious people who support LGBTQ rights. There are a ton of people who are religious that are LGBTQ themselves. Remind them that their interpretation is just that, an interpretation. Plenty of other people say that the Bible supports love, which it does. That being said, when I talk to people who are opposed to gay rights because of the Bible, I simply say to them, I'm not trying to change your religious ideology. I'm not trying to change you, so why are you trying to change me? Simple as that. So from the next one is from Avan, Jogia family. And the question is, do people judge you for supporting LGBT people? I was really, really, really lucky in that I grew up in a really diverse and accepting town, basically my whole life. One of my best friends and his boyfriend at the time actually won homecoming princes through writing votes in our high school, and no controversy over it or anything. They had on the Davis paper, they were like front page or something, I can't even remember, but it was a big deal in a good way. But I have faced judgment and contempt on occasion, and it's not fun, but those were also wonderful learning experiences. Having really hurtful things said to you, it kind of strengthens your conviction. It strengthens your belief in that everybody should be treated fairly and equally and feel safe and loved. You know, it kind of puts you in the place of anyone else who has ever had something hurtful or been oppressed or had something terrible said to them. Like, it really makes you understand where they're coming from, and it kind of like fuels the fire. At least it did for me. And it also gave me an opportunity to talk to people and give a face to the cause, which was another thing that we talked about earlier. So we're going to move on to the next question, and that is from Victor Arianes, and this one's all the way from India. So thank you for writing it all the way from India. And it says, I feel like I'm the only person supporting the LGBT cause. What do you think a person like me can do? What can I do to change people's mindsets? So first off, I want you to know you are not at all the only one. There are tons of other people out there just like you who support LGBT rights and are a straight ally, and it's awesome that you are. And it can feel really lonely, and it's no fun. As a straight ally, you can sometimes feel very isolated because you're not only supporting what some would deem a controversial cause, but some people are bothered that you're so active in something that doesn't supposedly directly affect you. Oftentimes it's incorrectly believed that only people directly affected should fight for a cause, and therefore automatically assume that you're LGBT yourself. But as you saw from earlier, homophobia affects straight people too. And my belief has always been and always will be that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. The only way to change people's mindsets one person at a time. The best thing you can do is make it known that you're a straight ally, out yourself as a straight ally, and doing that, just that alone, can make a difference, a huge difference actually. There are tons of other youth out there that are just like you, that they don't know that even being a straight ally is a thing. They just know that they, have LGBT friends and they want them to have equal rights, but there's a title for it and there's a cause you can join. Giving a face to it as a straight ally lets people know that there are people out there who aren't just part of, those directly affected, that support gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, etc. people. You're giving a face to the cause, and that's how you change people's mindsets. Telling stories, telling your story, telling why you believe what you believe. And, making it known that everyone should feel safe and loved for who they are. And so the last one that we have from here is Jacob Kenneth, and he says, how has being an ally affected you personally? Being an ally has changed my entire life in the most wonderful way possible. When I was in middle school, I was very socially awkward. I was very out of place, and unfortunately that made me very depressed. That made me very sad. I felt very lonely. And I ended up joining the GSA in my middle school, and it was just like, I found my calling. I found my home. People in there were so accepting, so wonderful, so unique and diverse. I had never really met anybody like I met in that club right there, and it was just such a nice, open, welcoming environment, and it was something that I knew that I wanted to carry on as much as I could for other people to experience that. And it kind of started from there. I went to GSA activist camp. I became I was on the youth board, I was on the board of directors, I did Queer Advocacy Day, I did Yes Conference, I did all this, and it introduced me to so many wonderful people and wonderful experiences. People came from all different backgrounds, people who had such amazing stories to tell, and all these people had overcome such adversity and, sometimes really scary things, really sad things that happened to these people, but they were out there fighting so that other people didn't have those experiences. And then there were people like me who I grew up I didn't really have too many problems in my life, and I was also fighting because I wanted people to have experiences like me. I don't know how to put it into words, but being a straight ally made me who I am today. It completely formed my being.
It's great. Okay, we have a couple of other questions that have come in. So Anna157 asks, what do you do if your family is homophobic and you're in a GSA?
Sure, that's a difficult situation, and I had a problem. It wasn't direct. My family was very supportive, but my extended family kind of more homophobic, and I did get harassed by certain family members about my involvement, and I was lucky enough to have my family stand up for me and be like, you need to stop this. But that's a tricky thing, and I would never want to suggest being secretive towards your family about that, but so I would say the best thing you can do is talk to your family, explain why you're doing this, why this is important to you. You're growing up, this is how you feel, and you may have friends, LGBT people that you know, or you just, even if you don't know anyone who's LGBT, you just support the cause. All you can do is talk, educate your family. Anything to add?
One thing I would add, though, is that if your parents simply disapprove, as Angie's World says, you can stand your ground and you can argue. But if it actually, if they're threatening you, or if you feel like it's a situation where you don't have control over it, and you could be kicked out of your house or anything like that, much like with coming out as an ally too, can pose some of the same problems.
Yes.
And wait until you are secure enough
That was one thing I was going to say, like, I would never suggest being secretive, but the most important thing is your safety. And if it's not a safe environment, if it's not something safe for you to be doing that, then you might need to back off of it a little while, just because it's more important that you have a safe environment that you're in.
Okay, we have another question from Braden. What do you do when the only friends you have are homophobic and make you feel bad about yourself?
Well, when the only friends that you have are homophobic, you know, like we said before, the best thing that you can do is out yourself as a straight ally, give a face to the cause, let them know that it's not just gay, bisexual, lesbian, transgender people who are fighting for this cause. It's important to you as a straight person.
Or even if you're not a straight person.
Or even if you're not a straight person. I'm sorry, yeah, I should assume. It's important to give a face to the equality movement, and like I said before, that can make all the difference in the world. You know, people who sometimes see this big, scary, mysterious thing, like it doesn't have a face, and then you come out and say, hey, I'm part of this cause. Suddenly it, you know, shrinks down into this very normal, lovable, you know, person that they're like, hey, we know you, you're a nice person, you're their friend, obviously. And you can really change some mindsets about that. And if they don't accept you for who you are, and I know this is really hard, but you might want to consider being around people who do accept who you are and what you believe, and accept you as yourself in its entirety, in your entirety.
Great. And yeah, we'd also add that if they're really your friends, they're not going to make you feel bad about yourself. That is, and they're not, if they aren't treating you well, then they're not your real friends, and you have to stand up for yourself when it comes to that.
Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, was what we were always told in GSA when I was in high school.
Yeah, and definitely go to your GSA and
yes,
get your friends there. GSA friends are the best.
They are.
Okay, we have a question here. I'm no longer in high school, but what would high school youth do if they're unable to find a teacher to sponsor the club?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
I think there's a way to feel out, like whether you can find teachers who would be supportive. It's like, you know, you have to wonder, you know, how you're looking for teachers, right? Because if you just put a notice up and say we want an advisor, it might be a little bit difficult. But if you start having those conversations with teachers, if you tell teachers your own story, that you think teachers who you're at all close to, or teachers who you think you feel like they might be receptive, even if they're not chomping at the bit to start a club, if you feel like you have a relationship with them, I would go and start talking about your own story, and you might inspire them to start the club. And again, it's also good to just start, just kind of get the word out and start talking to people about it, and connect to resources like at GSA Network.
Networking, the best thing you can do, and that's a life lesson right there. So. Yeah.
That's a really great point from Braden, that the teacher at our school was afraid to be known, but as she grew with us, she's no longer ashamed. And that's true too, that your teachers can grow with this process as well, and that while I know that if you want to take a look back at some of the former workshops, in the story from one of our youth trainers, Max, in the orientation workshop, he actually got 4 teachers at his school to come out by the time he graduated.
Whoa.
With all of the campaigns. It's actually, you're making life better for your teachers.
Yeah, hey, it's not just tough for people in high school. It can be tough afterwards, too. You can really help some people by being out and proud about who you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then from, I think we'll have a last question here from Anna 157,
Okay.
Which is that the GSA club gets bashed, like people keep saying that it's never going to make a difference.
Sure, okay, well, I would say to that, just the fact that you have a GSA club and it's something that they feel they need to bash, obviously they're feeling a little intimidated about it. The fact that it's on their radar means that you're making a difference because you're bringing it to people's attention. So that right there kind of negates what the people are trying to say. You're making a difference by having a safe place that anyone can go, even if you affect one person, one kid out there who's gay or straight out there, you're trans or queer question, you're bisexual. If you have that place and you, just by having the GSA saying that there are people that accept you, there are people that love you, that want you around, that think you're great for who you are, and we don't want you to pretend to be anything besides that, you're making a difference just by having the GSA at all. So ignore the haters. They're bashing you because they've got insecurities themselves.
Yeah, and if it is a more serious form of harassment, again, there are plenty of resources that you should reach out to, and that is something that you definitely should respond to. Great.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. Remember to join the Facebook group and sign up for Make It Better emails if you want to keep up the work to make it better during the school year. If you're interested in starting a Gay Straight Alliance Club, which everyone should if you don't have one in your school, you should check it out at gsanetwork.org. Amazing resources on there for GSAs. The Make It Better Project website also has tons of resources for all sorts of different people who want to make it better for LGBT youth. So check it out, and thank you so much for being an ally. You're greatly appreciated.
And just one more thing that I'm going to add is that Make It Better Summer, this is our last broadcast, but the broadcast will stay online, and we will be transitioning soon into Make It Better Semester.
Wow! Yeah!
So look forward to that. The Facebook group is not going anywhere.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.